Okay, so hey guys, welcome back to another Access 22 video, and in today's video I'm back with another interview. I'm here with Sam Sheedy. Sam, how are we?
I'm very good, thank you. How are yourself?
I'm doing great, mate. Thank you very much for coming on the channel.
No problem.
Nice one. So am I right in saying you were a middleweight who was 18-3?
That's right, yes.
That's right.
I was light middleweight as well first.
Okay, no, interesting, man. Okay, well, we'll just get straight into it. I'll start the question which you always like to start off with. Why did you start boxing?
I tell this same story every time because it's true. So I always try and think, is it different to this, or is this it? Years ago, on BBC, Casualty were on one night on a Saturday. I used to sit and watch it with my parents, and when it finished, Rocky come on, and they had it on every week for 5. There were only 5 back then. There's about 8 now, isn't there?
Something like
There might even be more, but there were 5, and they were coming on consecutively every week, and I was just obsessed. The underdog, just everything about it, the work ethic. It was probably more to do with like the theme tunes really than anything else. But I just wanted to be I just wanted to be like Rocky. That was it. I was 11-year-old, excuse me, and we looked in the Sheffield Star at the time, because I think internet will have been around, but not as it is now. Might have been like http ... __, and then loads of stuff, and then find boxing teams, I don't know. So you looked in the Sheffield Star, and we found Sheffield Boxing Centre, and I went down with a friend that I still speak to throughout the year on the odd occasion. But we both took the different paths. He's successful in his own right, and then he was better than me at the time as well, and he stopped coming. So I started with my friend. He boxed with me, better than me, and he kind of stopped doing it. I carried on doing it. He went on to do things, and he's doing all right, and I didn't do too bad in boxing myself, so I'm glad I stuck it out.
Of course, mate. And just, I mean, kind of going down, trip down memory lane, do you remember what happened in your first amateur fight?
Do you know a fighter called John Fuchs?
No.
Brilliant fighter. If you're from Sheffield or around, everybody will know who he is. The most talented fighter to not win anything major. He won an area title, but through personal problems, that might be the wrong word, through whatever reason, he didn't do half as much as he could have achieved. He were phenomenal. He tells this story better than me. He said it was like, going back to why I started boxing, it was like it was a Rocky film. He says, we're both just stood in, I can barely remember it, but he remember it like it was yesterday. He says, we both just stood in the middle of the ring, and we were just punching, his head flying everywhere. I had blood all over my face. I won, and I remember him getting my meal for me, 'cause it was like a meal. You had meal tickets back then, like you do now, but they put a bit more effort into them. So you had like a meal, like a cooked meal, and he brought it back. I took it off him, and I can remember my hands shaking because of the adrenaline, and I just loved it. But I wasn't very good. I wasn't very good for a hell of a long time. I just stuck at it because I got told I was better than what I was, so maybe that was true. Maybe they just wanted to keep me in the gym, just because they know it's good for young kids to be in the gym. Of course. And all my friends were really good at football, just good at things like people with the girls and stuff, and I just weren't. But boxing back then as well were nowhere near as popular as it was even 10 years ago. So in 1999 is when I started boxing. Nobody boxed. Nobody. Like, obviously people boxed, but you could pick one person you knew, and the next 100 didn't box. Now it might be 2 or 3 in 10 that train in boxing, you know. But yeah, so back to my first fight anyway. Apparently it was just an all-out war.
Indeed, man. No, that's a great little story. And so I suppose just for yourself, I mean, you spoke about how the amateurs, I would imagine they would have been completely different to what they are now. But what was your biggest achievement from the amateurs?
Achievement, I'd say, well, I boxed for England twice. I got asked to go on a trip with other England representatives. My first one, I think I had 5 fights, won 4. Yeah, because I won 3, lost 1, then won again. So out of 5 fights, I'd won 4. And there was a boxing coach called Keith Tate. I can't really remember where he was from now, because I was quite young, and he died. He's died anyway now. So I haven't really known him as an adult. But I think he's from Leeds. In the boxing world, but he's very well known, especially on the amateur circuit. I got asked to go to Ireland, and I was on a coach with Gary Sykes. You might know him, a British champion, he was a brilliant fighter, especially in the amateurs. He was so good. Adam Ainger, I don't think he ever turned professional. He were really good. There were a lot of good guys on that coach. So I'd say the achievement of being asked to represent my country were great. And I'd say my best win was when I should have definitely lost. So I had a 50-50 record, literally 50-50 when I finished. I had 52 fights, won 26. But I won most of them towards the end. And it was like, lost 3, won 1, lost 6, won 2 during the early and middle stages. And I boxed in the championships at 60 to 63 kilograms. And I got drawn against a kid called Chris Riley. I'd previously boxed a fighter called Levi Powell. And Levi Powell was brilliant. I don't know if you heard of him or do you not know. He's from Leeds, but he was only amateur again. I think he tried boxing professional, but for whatever reason he didn't. But he was brilliant. He had all his shorts badged up Levi, and we had a good fight, really close. But everybody were expecting me to get beat off Levi, and he did beat me. But after he even come and said, bloody hell, you're loads better than what your record suggests. And then the championships came up. So I got drawn against a kid called Chris Riley. And he got into the ring and he had badges everywhere. And I've still not seen a badge on my shorts out of the 52 fights I had. Like I never achieved anything to get a badge. And I boxed him, and I can remember Levi being in the crowd, and he was shouting my name, like, yes, Sheedy, come on. And I think he was the only person there. It just felt like it was just him. He really wanted me to beat Chris. I don't know if they'd had beef. I don't know if they'd boxed, he'd beat him. But I beat him, and he was supposed to beat me. There's badges everywhere, and I beat him quite convincingly. But I'd say that was probably one of the proudest moments of my amateur career. I went on to box Liam Smith after that. In the semi-finals of the ABAs, and I just didn't perform at all. He beat me quite convincingly. I'm just trying to think of any achievements. I boxed two great fighters as they're pro now. I didn't beat them, but I wouldn't say that's achievements. But I did it. Boxed Luke Campbell, Liam Smith. Both went on to box 2 of the greatest fighters of our generation, Canelo and Vasily Lomachenko. I won't really say that achievements. There were a lot of good personal things to me, like beating the guy I should have lost to, continuing after I lost 8 fights in a row and went on to do what I did as a professional. I think that was an achievement. And just committing my life to boxing, really. I think that's probably my biggest achievement overall. Like from 11, I'm 35 now. So I'd say that, I know it's going off subject a little bit, but I'd say that's probably my biggest achievement.
Of course, no, that's a huge achievement. And I suppose just for yourself, I mean, you spoke there about winning fights that maybe you fought and other people thought that you maybe wouldn't have won, and how kind of good, even going into the professional side of things, is it to prove them doubters wrong?
It's unbelievable. I've to achieve what I achieved and done what I've done for as long as I had done. With a person that's like me, I think and overthink, and I could be a self-saboteur, somebody could call me. Overthinker. Like, my mind can destroy my mind from inside. So to be able to even just do what I did is an achievement in itself. Because if the kind of information was around now, around what's now back when I was a child, I'd have been diagnosed with all kinds of conditions, which later on, I've spoke to people and they've said, oh no, definitely that is like maybe obsessive compulsive disorder, ADHD, anxiety. I don't like any of them terms because for what I've been told, they are true, but at the same time, I believe there are limitations for me. So if I'd have been told them 3 things when I was 11, 12, forward thinking this was normal, I'd have definitely stepped back. I wouldn't have fought because I'd have got a reason not to.
Yeah.
I fought because everybody fought. Everybody that got a fight on the board boxed. You didn't talk about it. They didn't ask you. Phil Wood, who's official in charge now on the amateur scene, and Frank Middleton, God rest his soul. Harry Cliff as well, God rest his soul. They're both dead now. Phil's not dead. They just come into the gym and said, Sam, you're boxing this date, that day, that day. And you're 11-year-old and you go, okay, I'll tell my mum. That were it. Now, we come in, we tell the... A lot of time you can see them thinking and questioning. I never got a choice. I never got a choice in this. You're just boxing, that's it. You weren't even ready.
Yeah.
But you had to be. So, saying what you're saying about proving people wrong. I think I proved myself wrong because I didn't believe I was as good as what I achieved. In the grand scheme of what's achievable, I didn't achieve that much. But for me, I achieved a hell of a lot. So I boxed for an area, English, British and Commonwealth title at 2 different weights. And arguably, I won all them belts. And when I say arguably, 2 of the losses, the English and British, were both by a split decision. So I know it's a loss, but one judge had you winning. So on a different day, if the judge didn't blink, you could have won that fight instead of him. If he didn't yawn and look that way, it's literally that close. I didn't really get beat. I just lost the fight and such. And that's, not many people hold all them 4 titles, even when they're world champion. A lot of people bypass them titles. And I boxed for them all, and I never thought I'd win an area title when I turned professional.
Yeah, that's crazy nice. It's a great story, and I really respect that. And I suppose just to kind of speak about your professional career, I mean, of course, you've had the 18 victories, and of course, you did do very well for yourself. And so, which fight do you look back on with the most enjoyment, I suppose? Which one did you enjoy the most?
I'd say the ones that I stopped, which weren't that many, but I stopped 4. I do believe that was because of my style, though, of the indoctrination of hit, don't get hit. If you're winning, don't change anything. I do think that's why it doesn't read higher than that. I believe I'm a bigger puncher than my record suggests. I'm going to say that, but I was. I think the boxing and moving, being slick, not being able to, people be able to pin you down, that's more, you're going to get less stoppages unless you're a devastating puncher that way. Whereas a come forward fighter doesn't need to punch as hard because the pressure alone will stop an opponent. But like going back to your question, the most enjoyable, it's a tricky one. Like the Nav Mansouri fight is my friend now. And I lost by a split decision for the English title. I loved that fight. There's even a moment where he clips me in the 9th round, the bell goes, and I'm laughing, and I fall down to my stool. I knew I was like 8 rounds up, and he weren't going to knock me out. As much as he clipped me and I felt it, I was exhausted. I fell into ropes and sat down, and Glenn gave me a right rollicking. But I just enjoyed the fight. I knew I was winning. I know I lost the fight, but have you seen that fight, or have you not watched it?
No, I ain't seen it.
If you get a chance, right, I want you to do some homework, watch Sam Sheedy versus Navid Mansouri, and then we'll do another interview and we'll talk about that fight. Okay. Watch that fight.
I will do, mate.
That was a brilliant fight. It was brilliant. I loved it apart from the ending. Winning the area title, I knocked Jason Ball out in the 1st round. And there's a funny story to that because I'd not boxed. I had 3 fights, won 3 or 4. Then I didn't box for 2 years, I think. Then the Glenn says, you're boxing Jason Ball. I'd previously just watched him box Chris Eubank Jr. on Sky TV. And he lost by a point. Fair enough, it was over 4 rounds, but he still lost by a point. So I went into that fight, I thought, bloody hell, I haven't boxed for 2 years and I'm not even sure I'm that good. I want easy fights. That's what I thought then. I boxed him and I beat him every round, and I boxed out of my skin. I boxed brilliant. And then they said he was the champion for the area title, but that was only a 4-round fight. So they said, do you want to box it? Sorry, they asked him, I never got asked anything. Clint asked his team if he wanted to box for the challenge, if I could challenge him for the area title. They've said yeah. So over 4 rounds, it's a lot easier to beat somebody over 4 if you're a boxer like me who boxes and moves than it is for somebody like Jason, who was a very conditioned, seasoned professional at the time. He knew in his head he was going to get to me and him in 10 rounds, and I believe that too. I thought I was knackered after 4 rounds. It's only 2 months away this fight. I was knackered. I was absolutely blow it. How am I going to do double that plus more?
Yeah.
So we've weighed him, squared up to each other, self-belief, self-talk. People telling me I'm going to beat him. Am I though? Am I? Come out in first round. Excuse me. Got a bit of a chesty cough at the minute. Just touching away, feeling. I think he's thrown a lazy jab twice. So I dropped down to my left and looped to left-hander as hard as I can. And I've got a picture of this shot hitting him on chin. And it hits him square on chin, and he just falls to the floor.
Wow.
And I'd never had that previously. I couldn't believe what had happened. I thought, bloody hell, I've just knocked somebody down. I've never done that before. He got up, it weren't right, and I sent to be a good finisher. After this interview, I'll send you a couple of clips of like that specific moment. I'll send you some things. I didn't think I was a finisher, but it turns out I was. And then I stopped him in less than 3 minutes, obviously, with the first round. And that was a huge achievement for me. Because the area title back then, there were less social media, so we're not constantly seeing British, Commonwealth, World, European. We're not seeing them all the time.
Yeah.
So we just read the newspaper.
Of course.
So you've got somebody that's area champion, you've got a world champion, maybe Clinton Woods, but he's like stratospheres away from where I am. I'm never going to be that guy in my head at the time. So world titles aren't even in my reach, so I'm not bothered if I don't reach them, because nobody's got one. So an area title then were unbelievable. That was the highest achievement our gym had held at the time, with John Fuchs, Jez Wilson, and Carl Wilde. I don't know if I got mine first before Carl or not, but Jez and Fuchs definitely got theirs first. But there wasn't many people that was medalled as there are now around the city. So we've got British champions, world champions, Commonwealth, European, you know, they're everywhere. So now it doesn't seem good, but it's still a brilliant achievement.
Of course.
So I was so proud of that moment. I couldn't believe what had happened. I thought that was it for me. And then my career just progressed from there. I went on, kept winning, boxed Bradley Price from Wales a bit later on in my career. And Bradley, I'd watched him on ITV. He was Frank Warren's fighter when I was about 16.
Okay.
And I saw him knock out Anthony Smalls, who were unbeaten, big puncher, used to come out in a screen mask.
Okay.
Good fighter. Boxed out Martin Conception, knocked out, sorry. He knocked out some really good fighters. And then they've come on to me and said, do you want to box Bradley Price? He's still got a winning record for 36 fights, 28 knockouts, like 17 defeats at the time. But he obviously, he were on the slide with his defeats, but he was still very dangerous. He definitely had a hunger to win. And he wasn't happy to lose, so he still tried his best.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I watched this guy knock people out in my bedroom when I was 16 years old. I can't beat him.
Yeah.
There's a fight. You go, yeah, I'll knock him out easy. He's too old. But really, I'm thinking, oh my God, he can punch. So I went on, boxed Bradley Price, beat him. I believe you were more convincingly than the scores had it. Went on to then box for the English title, lost, which I don't know one person apart from the two judges that thought he won. Then I carried on. I boxed again. I knocked somebody out called Frank Dodds from Africa. He had 16 wins, 6 defeats. Sorry, 18 wins, 6 defeats, 16 knockouts.
Wow.
Oh, here we go again. I'm not going to manage this. And then lo and behold, sorry, my screen's just gone a bit dim as yours.
No, no, everything's good, mate.
Right. It's just got a bit darker, maybe sun's gone in.
Not sure.
So I ended up knocking him out in the first round as well. Then I boxed a guy called Andrew Robinson, and he'd only lost one fight. to Frank Buglioni at the time.
Yeah.
And he was a super middleweight when he boxed Frank Buglioni. Come down to middleweight, I've gone up from light middleweight to middleweight. And he was one of them ones. It was like he were a big middleweight, and I was an average middleweight, but a big light middleweight.
Yeah.
He was probably a small super middleweight, a big middleweight. You know, so he was still bigger than me. That was his real weight. I probably could have still made light middle, but I convinced myself I couldn't.
Yeah.
And I boxed him. I beat him, and he's still my friend to this day. Andrew, we still speak. He's a lovely man. And then I got the British title fight against Tommy Langford. Stepped in on 5 weeks' notice, maybe less, because Chris Eubank Jr. pulled out. And I didn't believe I could win that fight, like a lot of them. It turns out I did. And then about round 6, the idea of me being 7-1, there's no way I could win. The crowd behind him, big Stoke following, not Stoke, West Brom following, huge West Brom following in Cardiff. And the arena was full, and they were all singing his song and whatnot. But I enjoyed that. I liked being the guy that was supposed to lose.
Yeah.
But I didn't really believe I could win. Round 6 come about. I just started believing in myself. I started putting pressure on him. And you see in that fight as well, there's a highlight reel on YouTube. And you can see I start coming into my own. And in the last round, you can't even stand up. And when the scores were announced, he said split decision. It's like I could feel the British title in my hands.
Yeah.
The middleweight British title is such a huge accolade and accomplishment. And it's like I had it and I let it go because I didn't grab it early enough. If Tommy watches this, he'll roll his eyes and say, all right, of course you did. But he didn't beat me. I lost that fight. I don't know if you've heard that term before.
Of course, yeah.
But I lost the fight. He didn't beat me because he wasn't doing anything in the first 6 bar, being himself and what the media said he were. Then it took a while for me to go. It's a bit like the fear of what's behind the door when you're a child or under the bed. The fear's worse than what's really there. And that was me. It was like, I'm looking under the bed, I'm boxing, and I'm thinking, he's not that scary. And I started realising round 6, and I thought, you're not scary at all. And I started walking forward, making him miss, enjoying myself, showboating a little bit. So I lost that fight. I was devastated because I'd lost 2 split decisions. That's the only 2 losses I had by then. I went on. Dennis Hobson got me a shot at the Commonwealth title, middleweight title. Again, the history behind that's phenomenal. Yeah. Nigel Benz won that title. There's loads that have won it that you'll know, like brilliant fighters, and I'm on that list now forever. So, as a professional, I know you've not asked me this question, you've not asked me a lot of the things I'm telling you about, but I'm just telling you anyway. As a professional, that's probably my biggest achievement because it cements my legacy. As he were alright, him. He was good. He was a good fighter, and my kids can see it in my house. Both my belts. I think my daddy won them, but he was the best at the time. So I'd say there, going back to about 10 minutes ago, my biggest achievement are my titles, but not for selfish gain, more for the legacy it leaves to my family.
No, I'm loving your stories, mate. I mean, we're definitely going to have to, when I've watched some tape, we're definitely going to have to come back and speak about some of these fights, mate, and like really dissect the fights. Yeah,
I'd love that. I've never done that before. That's brilliant. I tell you what, we'll do like, do you like do book club?
Yeah.
We'll do fight club.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
man.
We'll both watch the NAB fight over the weekend, and then when we finish this, we'll talk about the next date. We'll check in.
All right, nice one. Yeah, well, I mean, a couple more questions that I've got just for you. I mean, you've kind of yeah. No, I mean, you've kind of moved towards maybe more like, I suppose, coaching to an extent. I know you're a personal trainer and that, and I mean, you were at the Frank versus Harris fight on the weekend. Of course, you were supporting Frank. We've had Frank on the channel. He's a great guy, and unfortunately, it didn't go his way. But what was your thoughts on that fight?
I could talk about this fight all day. As a boxing fan, and I do find myself excuse me, being a fan, that I feel like I'm quite, I'm quite good at dissecting and watching a fight and being able to work out what you should do, shouldn't do. But same subject, we're just talking about the corner team to start with. So there's me, Glyn, Andy Manning, Glyn Rose, MBE, and Matt Mowat, BEM. Between us, we worked out the other day, there's over nearly 140 years boxing experience. Wow. So Tommy had a top-notch, solid corner team that night. I was the weak link, apparently. No, I wasn't really. The fight in itself, I think both men should be commended on their conditioning, boxing ability. He just, that fight had everything. He had. They were both hit hard. They both took the beatings. They both had moments where a lesser fighter would have quit. Yeah. Whichever way, sat on his stool, not get up. Yeah. Gone down, not go up. Took a knee, took a body shot. Whatever it were, they took head shots, body shots, hard shots, soft shots, combination punches. Everything you can imagine. They both endured, kept their class throughout. They both looked brilliant doing it. The best fight I've ever watched live. I think it's because I was so close as well, but it was still brilliant. Yeah. And I think on a different day, Tommy could have won.
Definitely.
But again, Jay were brilliant. I don't think Jay were any more brilliant than Tommy. I don't think Tommy were any more brilliant than Jay. I just thought I was so proud of them both. And Tommy's one of my best friends, and I love him to bits. And it was one of the hardest things to kind of want for him, have the towel thrown in, because I know how proud he is as a man and where he wants to be in life. But he'll be there in life no matter what God throws at him. He'll be there anyway. But the right decision were for Glyn to call it and pull the fight, because I think the writing was on the wall after round 9. Yeah. He had every chance to recover in round 10, between round 9 and 10. Went out round 10, and he was just taking shots that he wasn't taking 10 minutes before. Yeah. And it was not emotional. It was emotional, but that's not why the decision got made. It was the right decision.
Yeah, of course it was. And I mean, I know we got a little bit short on time here, and so I'll just only got a couple more questions for you, mate. And so just for yourself, I mean, you've done so much in this sport already, and just for yourself, how would you like to be remembered in boxing?
I think for one of the good guys, but for the right reasons. I'm an honest person, and people that know me and get to know me, I can seem a little bit excitable at times, and I do get excitable. With my experience, you wouldn't think I'd get that excited in situations I've been in 1,000 times. Right. But I do. I think I'd like to be remembered as just a genuine guy that loves boxing and that wants to change kids' lives for the better. Just fitter, healthier individual people, and a good boxer.
Yeah, of course, man. And so, I mean, I'll leave with this final question, which I always like to ask. You've got a little bit of a platform here. Would you like to shout anything out?
Well, yeah, our fighters are based down at Sheffield Boxing Centre in Hillsborough. If anybody wants to come down and train, we've got elite fighters such as Tommy Frank, British and Commonwealth, former British and Commonwealth champion, myself. Commonwealth champion, Keenan Wainwright, who's going places, Tegan Stott, who's Team GB. There's hundreds more to name down at our gym. Trained by Glyn Rose, MBE. He's down there every single day. The gym's always open. Come down, give it a go. You never know, you might be world champion.
You never know, indeed, man. And I mean, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Of course, I would love to do that thing where we go back and watch the fights with you, and I'm sure we'll be able to do it. And I mean, also,
why not?
Yes, also, I mean, I don't live too far away from Sheffield, so maybe one day I'll be able to swing by the gym and see how things are going on there.
Brilliant. Why not? I'd love that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll message you after this about Fight Club.
All right, nice one, mate. Okay, have a good